Picture this, the year is 1913, the place the Grand Monte Carlo Casino in Monaco. The air is filled with a heady mix of excitement, anticipation, and the faintest hint of cigar smoke. The chandeliers sparkle overhead, casting a warm, inviting glow on the patrons who've gathered around the roulette table, their eyes wide with expectation. On this particular night, something extraordinary was about to unfold. The roulette wheel, a symbol of chance and uncertainty, was about to spin a tale that would be talked about for more than a century. As the croupier sent the wheel spinning with a flick of the wrist, the little white ball bounced, skipped, and finally settled. The number was black. The crowd murmured, money changed hands, and the wheel was spun again. Once, twice, thrice the ball fell on black, then 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Every spin, every bounce, every roll, the result was the same. The ball seemed to have an affinity for the black numbers. 10 times, 15 times, 20 times, the murmurs grew louder, the anticipation thicker. The odds of this happening were astronomical. Yet, the ball fell on black again, and again, and again. The room was abuzz with disbelief and excitement. The elusive Lady Luck seemed to have painted the town black for the night. The roulette wheel, that symbol of randomness and unpredictability, had thrown a curveball. It kept landing on black not once, not twice, but an incredible 26 times in a row. The crowd watched, their hearts pounding in their chests, their breaths held in suspense, as the little white ball made its fateful journey around the wheel for the 26th time. And then it happened. The ball fell on black for the 26th time. The room erupted into a frenzy. What were the odds? 1 in 66.6 million to be precise. A streak of black 26 times, an unlikely event, but what followed was even more astonishing. As the black streak continued, a frenzy took over the gamblers in the room. You could almost feel the electric charge in the air, the tension building like a coiled spring ready to snap. The roulette wheel was spinning, its hypnotic whirl drawing in the crowd. The gamblers were caught in the grip of an inexplicable madness, their faces flushed with anticipation and dread in equal measure. The room was filled with a cacophony of sounds, the clinking of chips, the rustle of cash, the murmurs of conversation, and above all, the heartbeat of the roulette wheel spinning round and round. The black streak had become the talk of the town. It was as if the wheel had taken on a life of its own, spinning a tale of suspense and intrigue that held everyone in its thrall. As the black streak continued to defy the odds, the gamblers, caught in the throes of the Monte Carlo fallacy, began to bet against black. They were convinced that the law of averages was on their side. Red had to come up, it was due. The tension was palpable as they placed their bets, each spin of the wheel a new chapter in this high-stakes drama. The room was a whirlpool of activity. Chips were being thrown onto the table with reckless abandon, fortunes were being risked on the turn of the wheel. The gamblers were caught in a vortex of hope and despair, the thrill of the gamble, the fear of the loss. The atmosphere was electric, charged with a frenzy of excitement and fear. The wheel spun, the ball danced, and the crowd held its breath. The anticipation was unbearable, but the wheel, like a capricious god, had other plans. The ball landed on black, again and again, creating a ripple of disbelief and shock. The gamblers' dreams of winning big were dashed, their hopes shattered by the relentless black streak. The room was a sea of stunned faces, the silence deafening after the frenzied betting. The gamblers could only watch in disbelief as the black streak continued to defy their expectations. The wheel seemed to have a mind of its own, defying the gamblers' expectations. The night ended, the sun rose, and the gamblers were left in disbelief. As dawn broke over the Monte Carlo Casino on August 19, 1913, the roulette table was littered with the markers of loss. The aftermath was a scene of financial ruin and shattered dreams. Those who had bet against black found themselves in a pit of debt, their pockets and bank accounts hollowed out by the relentless march of the black numbers. It was a scene of financial devastation, a testament to the fickle nature of Lady Luck. Some who had started the night with fortunes found themselves penniless, their wealth transferred to the casino's coffers. Others, who had hoped to turn a small stake into a significant sum, were left with nothing more than the clothes on their back and a tale of woe. The disbelief was palpable. How could the roulette ball land on black 26 times in a row? It seemed impossible, a statistical anomaly that defied reason and logic. The gamblers had been playing the odds, believing that the roulette wheel had to balance out. That red had to come up. But it didn't, it just didn't. And so the shock set in. The gamblers, seasoned and novice alike, were left stunned by the implausibility of the event. They had witnessed a 1 in 66.6 million event, a spectacle that left them questioning their understanding of probability and luck. The aftermath of that fateful night at the Monte Carlo Casino was a stark reminder of the capriciousness of chance. It was a lesson in humility, a harsh reality check for those who believed they could predict or influence the whims of fate. The gamblers left the casino, their pockets lighter, their spirits crushed, but with a story that would be told and retold for generations to come. A story of a night when black ruled the roulette wheel. A night when the Monte Carlo fallacy was born. It was a night that would be etched in the annals of gambling history. So what does this night of gambling tell us about probability? Let's take a step back and look at the broader picture. On that fateful night in August of 1913, at the Grand Monte Carlo Casino, the roulette wheel landed on black, not once, not twice, but 26 times in a row. This was an event so unlikely it was akin to finding a needle in a haystack, the size of 66.6 million haystacks to be exact. This unusual event sparked a frenzy among the gamblers present. Convinced that the wheel was due to land on red, they continued to place their bets on the red numbers, only to watch in disbelief as the ball persistently landed on black. But here's the crux of the matter: the wheel had no memory of the past spins, and each spin was an independent event. The fact that the ball had landed on black 25 times in a row didn't make it more or less likely to land on black the 26th time. The wheel didn't owe anyone a red, and it wasn't trying to balance the books. This event is a stark reminder of a common misconception known as the Monte Carlo fallacy, or the gambler's fallacy, which is the belief that if something happens more frequently than normal during a certain period, it's less likely to happen in the future, or vice versa. But in reality, the probability of an independent event doesn't change based on past outcomes. The Monte Carlo incident underscores the importance of understanding the concept of independent events in probability. Just because an event has happened repeatedly in the past doesn't mean it's due to happen or not happen in the future. Each event is independent and the odds reset every time. Remember, the roulette wheel has no memory. Each spin is an independent event and the odds reset every time. So the next time you find yourself under the glittering lights of a casino, remember the tale of that night at Monte Carlo, and don't let the fallacy cloud your judgment.